How does a company born in a Swiss bank conference room in 1939 end up building a business jet that lands on dirt strips most competitors won't touch? The evolution of Pilatus aircraft, from a single wartime STOL prototype to turboprops and twin-engine jets, was driven by one recurring obsession: reaching places nobody else could. But that identity almost never took shape at all. In 1941, the newly formed Swiss manufacturer split its limited resources between two completely different directions. The first path was the P-1, a lightweight, single-seat training aircraft designed by Henri Fier. Aimed at low-cost military instruction, the P-1 remained a series of paper drawings and was completely abandoned by 1943. Instead of pursuing this paper project, Pilatus turned its attention to the SB-2 Pelican, an experimental transport built in partnership with the Swiss Institute of Technology under project manager Heinrich Fayers. The Pelican was designed to solve a demanding regional problem: short field access. In the tight valleys of the Alps, pilots desperately needed the ability to take off and land within incredibly short distances on rough, unprepared grass slopes rather than standard runways. Powered by a single Argus AS-10E engine, the SB-2 utilized a unique forward-swept wing to maximize lift. When the single prototype finally flew on May 30, 1944, it proved that specialized mountain transport was not only possible, but highly practical. This single flying proof of concept anchored Pilatus to the rugged utility market, establishing the very design philosophy that would define its future. On April 27, 1945, the two-seat P-2 trainer took its maiden flight. Designed to supply post-war Swiss military pilots with a reliable instructional platform, the P-2 utilized surplus parts from German aircraft, including Messerschmitt Bf 109 landing gear. To contain manufacturing costs, the Swiss Air Force purchased 55 of these aircraft, cementing the trainer as Pilatus's first successful production contract. While military pilot instruction secured immediate funding, the company simultaneously chased the civil utility market. The high-wing P-4, which first flew on March 22, 1948, was built to handle rugged cargo transport, featuring a spacious 5-seat cabin and exceptional low-speed handling. However, limited factory capacity stalled series production, leaving the single prototype, registration HBAET, as a one-off technology demonstrator. In 1951, Pilatus proposed a third operational direction: the P-5 artillery observation concept. Powered by a 160 horsepower Walter Miner engine, this two-seat design utilized a pod and boom configuration to give observers an unobstructed field of view. The Swiss military declined the proposal, leaving the P-5 entirely on the drawing board. This sorting period between a production-ready trainer, an abandoned observation concept, and a single utility prototype clarified the company's path. Pure experimentation had to give way to designs that met immediate practical demands. On September 3, 1953, the all-metal P-3 prototype took flight, designed to solve a pressing military problem. As the Swiss Air Force introduced its first generation of jet fighters, student pilots needed a trainer that replicated modern jet handling, specifically featuring tricycle landing gear and a cockpit layout that mirrored frontline combat aircraft. Powered by a 260 horsepower Lycoming engine, the P-3 provided a stable, predictable transition platform. The Swiss military ordered 72 units, while the Brazilian Navy purchased 6, establishing Pilatus as a viable long-term contractor in military pilot training. But the company's dual identity was only fully realized 6 years later. On July 29, 1959, the high-wing PC-6 Porter completed its maiden flight. Built as a dedicated short takeoff and landing transport, the Porter utilized a large rectangular wing with automatically deployed split flaps and a rugged landing gear setup designed to survive the worst mountain airstrips. The piston-powered prototype quickly demonstrated the ability to lift off in less than 400 feet and land in even shorter distances. Rather than relying on paved runways, operators could now access remote, high-altitude alpine valleys and unstructured wilderness outposts. With the P-3 securing the schoolhouse market and the PC-6 conquering the rough-field utility sector, Pilatus moved past its early era of trial and error. These two aircraft formed a permanent dual-track business model, proving that a single manufacturer could master both precision military training and uncompromised backcountry utility. In 1966, Pilatus modified the piston-powered P-3 airframe by installing a Pratt & Whitney PT-6, a turboprop engine, creating the PC-7. This change did more than increase speed. It fundamentally altered how student pilots learned to fly. Turboprop power introduced trainees to high climb rates and turbine engine management early in their instruction, forming the precise habits needed for modern jet operations. The Swiss Air Force and global export markets quickly integrated the PC-7 into their training pipelines, establishing a new baseline for military pilot preparation. While refining this training line, the company briefly detoured back to its transport routes. On November 15, 1967, the PC-8D Twin Porter completed its first flight. This experimental aircraft combined the rugged STOL DNA of the PC-6 with a twin-engine layout to offer redundant safety for regional utility operations. However, the market demand did not justify full production, and Pilatus abandoned the project after completing just one prototype to keep its factory focused on higher volume programs. That focus returned to the military schoolhouse. In 1984, the company flew the PC-9, a larger and significantly more powerful trainer designed to bridge the gap to high-performance fighter jets. Equipped with a 1,000 horsepower engine and a completely redesigned cockpit, the PC-9 allowed air forces to push student pilots through advanced tactical training without the extreme hourly cost of flying genuine jet aircraft. This progression from basic turbine instruction to advanced jet-like tactical training consolidated Pilatus's hold on the global trainer market, preparing the manufacturer for its next major evolution. In 1970, Pilatus explored expanding its transport capacity with the PC-10, a twin-engine study designed to carry 16 passengers. Though it never progressed past the design stage, the project proved the company was actively searching for ways to scale its rugged STOL utility into a larger market. 2 years later, the manufacturer took another detour, acquiring the rights to an all-metal sailplane designated the B-4, which they assigned project number PC-11. Between 1972 and 1980, Pilatus manufactured 322 of these gliders, showcasing their design adaptability, but ultimately remaining a side project. These diversions ended on December 21, 1991, with the maiden flight of the PC-12. This single-engine turboprop merged Pilatus's legendary short-field capability with a large pressurized cabin and a powerful Pratt & Whitney PT-6A engine. Skeptics doubted a single-engine plane could win over corporate and medical transport markets, but the aircraft proved highly reliable, operating from unpaved runways while offering jet-like cabin comfort. In 2001, Pilatus pushed its training philosophy to its absolute limit with the PC-21. Instead of just preparing pilots for turbine flight, this turboprop was engineered to behave exactly like a frontline jet, mimicking high-performance fighter handling with advanced digital systems. 13 years later, Pilatus inverted this concept with the PC-24 business jet. Rather than building a standard corporate transport, engineers designed a twin-engine jet capable of landing on the same rough, unpaved runways conquered by the PC-6 Porter decades earlier. Equipped with double-slotted flaps and a reinforced undercarriage, the PC-24 brought uncompromising alpine utility directly into the jet age. These two aircraft represented a complete culmination of the Swiss manufacturer's identity: a turboprop pretending to be a jet, and a jet pretending to be a rugged utility bush plane. As the company looks toward a future of electric propulsion and automated flight, how will Pilatus redefine its alpine legacy next? Today, Pilatus continues to redefine the limits of tarmac-free flight. As modern aviation demands both luxury and absolute utility, the line between rugged workhorse and elite business jet is permanently blurred. In a world of compromise, who else can build a jet that thrives where the pavement ends? Thanks for watching.